Good evening and welcome to our June board meeting. This is our regular business meeting for the board of directors. I'm going to go ahead and get started with roll call. Actually, first, for those in the back, there's 5 seats in the front row if you'd like to come up. Don't be shy. Okay, roll call. Director Zavala?
Here.
Director Smith?
Here.
Director Decker?
Here.
Director Barrows?
Here.
And I am also here. We're all present. I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Snell to get started with the superintendent report.
Yeah, and prior to that, I'd ask everybody who's willing and able to rise that we have our national anthem tonight, and it's performed by the Thomas Jefferson Middle School Band under the direction of Corinne Bennett. All right, we'll get started. So for those of you who are new to a board meeting, we always start with the national anthem performed by one of our school's musical groups. And then we always end the meeting with another performance by that group. And so if you are here for the whole duration of the meeting, you'll get to hear that. And if you go home and you want to watch it later on recording, it's available to you. And they always do a great job. So I think everybody loves playing the national anthem or singing it, but I think they also really get a lot of joy out of the other songs that they perform. So welcome everyone to our last board meeting during the school year. It's hard to believe that we've gone through this year so quickly, and we're glad to see everyone here. We have a lot of recognitions tonight, so we'll make sure that we get going on those quickly. But before we get into recognition and some of the other updates, we have our student advisory report tonight, and I know at least I saw Preston here, or Avery here. I'm not sure if Preston's made it yet, so invite Avery Hughes-Davis forward to address the board and give them an update on student advisory.
So there it is. Okay. As a co-chair for the Student Advisory Board, and I'll also just explain what the Student Advisory Board is to everyone who doesn't know. The Student Advisory Board is a group of student leaders from each school who have come together in the purpose of trying to promote a better sense of belonging among all students in the Vancouver Public School District. And we work to give our members tools that they can take back to their schools to improve the overall climate. And we also work to generate ideas and initiatives that will help every student in their school feel that they belong more. And this year is it's the second year that we've had the Student Advisory Board. And so we've really been working to get it rolling with all the programs that we've been doing. And I was going to focus on 2 of the major accomplishments that we had this school year. So the first was in getting together with all our members, we were able to decide on, based on the panorama survey that is administered throughout all the schools, to assess how students feel they belong and different aspects and metrics of the student belonging experience. We set our goal of student belonging at a percentage of 45%. And that came after a lot of careful consideration on why student advisory is, sense of belonging is so important among students. And we were able to land at that goal from the analysis of the panorama data that we have seen. And we've been working towards doing initiatives, doing programs, doing different activities that bring us closer to that goal. And while we're still working towards that goal, we hope to next year get even closer to meeting that goal of 45%, hopefully exceeding it, and then pushing the goal of student belonging even further so more people can feel they belong. And another important aspect of the student advisory that we've done this year is the annual Student Leadership Summit. This year we had it at WSUV's campus. We invited over 100 students from all kinds of different schools across VPS to come together to learn leadership skills and to learn what other schools in the district are doing to help improve student sense of belonging. And through that, we were able to have amazing seminars, speeches. We were able to have a presentation from the city. We had so many different amazing ways that students were able to learn what it meant to truly be a leader in their community and what it meant to make sure that every student feels that they belong within their school communities. And while we've done a lot of different, activities throughout this year, those are some of the most important. And we hope to keep doing the annual Student Leadership Summit and keep working towards improving student sense of belonging among all students within the VPS system. So I think that that is everything that we've done for this year. And thank you for letting me talk, and thank you.
Any questions for Avery?
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanna, so Avery and Preston were nominated last year. They served on student advisory and then were nominated into the co-chair role, and elected by their peers and just did a phenomenal job. And so in addition to all the regular student advisory meetings, they co-planned, and set the agenda for the meetings, talked about how to engage other students and how to share the leadership, and just both very humble students that are kind of the spirit of servant leadership. So I'm very proud of them. The co-chairs last year were phenomenal as well, as you recall, and it's a pretty high standard that they set, and Avery and Preston have met that standard and probably exceeded it. So we're super excited about where this goes next year. Lots of student energy around it, and these are a few images from the Leadership Summit that Avery described, and really grateful for Washington State University Vancouver to host us up there. They did that complimentary. We did the event after their graduation, so the campus was pretty empty, and they were glad to have us up there. So, couple of other updates. Just transportation update. We, the board has seen data over the course of the year of what our transportation team has taken on. And after a challenging start in the fall with start times and trying to just manage all those schedules, I'm just really proud of the team. They're at a point now where less than 2% of our routes are late on any given week. And we run a lot of routes. And so just a credit to the drivers and their leadership with Grace and of course AJ. We had an item that we were considering in the committee of the whole around bringing in some new technology for our transportation, but we're going to pause on that and keep exploring options. And so just wanted to, whenever we do the committee of the whole, we talk about items, and then if we're not on there, I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of why that's not on there. Also right now we're wrapping up senior exit interviews. So this is a practice that we've done now for the last 3 or 4 years. We have a ton of staff that put a lot of energy and time into it to try to interview as many seniors as possible and ask them about their experiences in our system and their words of wisdom. And then our amazing communications team and video team do a 5 to 6 minute summary video of each school. And then we collect all that data and reflect it back out to the community as well. And so that's happening right now. And maybe we have some seniors in the audience that have been interviewed. We appreciate your time on that. The next area of focus is just a quick strategic planning update. And for members in the audience, if you came in and grabbed an agenda, you also got a copy of the strategic plan update for this session. At every board meeting, we have an update on the strategic plan. Our mission: inspiring, learning, growing community, each student every day. And then we have these 3 aspects of support for a vision of graduate, and all those are focused on our students, community, staff, and experience. The update today that's back there, you can scan it and get it, and all these are archived on our website, is really thinking about some celebrations of VPS student learning. One of those you all attended. It was the culture parade a few weeks ago that our third graders spent a lot of time and energy and the staff supporting them and preparing for that. And then a wonderful parade around down at the fort area. And then another one just happened last week called Project Voice, where we had some middle school students performing or presenting their research that they did over the year. So just a couple of highlights related to the student experience and the vision of graduate. I'll pause and see if anybody has any questions from the board on any of those updates so far. Okay. I have been giving a budget development update for each time for quite some time, so I have tried to compress the slides a little bit for everyone. But if you're interested in going any deeper with any of this, they're all archived. We are getting towards the end of the journey of the 24-25 budget development process. The actual approval of the budget is usually associated with a public hearing in August, and so a couple more meetings left. Between when we started this process really over a year ago to now, we've had a lot of updates. We've had a lot of all staff connects, a lot of advisories, community input, and unfortunately had to address some reduction targets. And between that March board meeting and now, just a lot of collaboration and a lot of areas to try to figure out how to get us to a budget situation that's sustainable. We've talked about over the meeting time just some of the reasons that we're in this challenging situation, and it really comes down to our increased costs, whether that's on the staffing side of things or some of the other costs like insurance, special education, transportation, substitutes, things of that nature. Those juxtaposed with the increased student need that we've experienced over the last several years. And then also our flat enrollment the last couple of years and a decline since 2018. So those are a combination of factors that have led us to this budget climate where we're looking for the how to find a path forward. We have some supporting slides that just kind of help demonstrate some of those gaps in what the funding model is and the costs of things are. And so that's kind of a challenge that we need to not only address in this budget cycle, but with our state legislature in the future. I'm going to pause here and just call Preston forward because I just saw Preston come in and he looks so sharp that we need to get him up front. So come on in, Preston, and I want to acknowledge you for your leadership with student advisory. So yeah, right over here to the mic. Yeah, I should ask you to sing or play the drums or something because he's an incredibly talented musician and singer as well. Avery gave the overview. So I would love it if you could just share any highlight that you had of student advisory since you made your way all the way here, and I know you got to get back to a concert at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year this year. There's just been so many outstanding students to show up to these meetings. We've had, I think, about one or two meetings over Zoom and in person over the course of every month over the course of the school year, and just being able to see so many students show up and take time out of their school day and out of their personal time to show up and just give their voice to better our districts is so powerful. We had a goal of, we use Panorama Survey to kind of gauge where our student body's at, and we had a goal of 45%. Unfortunately, we did not reach that goal, but I have no doubt that over these next few years, we will skyrocket over that goal with how many students have shown up and shown their care. I mean, 45 is a low number compared to what we can do in these next few years.
Do you want to sing a line or anything?
Okay.
I'm serious.
What should I sing?
What are you singing tonight?
Singing some choral songs. Yeah.
You can't leave me hanging. Give me a line.
Oh, I'm not prepared for this. A, B, C, D. Yeah. Thanks, Preston.
I appreciate them allowing me to put them on the spot like that. Last year we had somebody that presented at the board meeting and wasn't very happy about it, and then came back and was at Washington State University and was in a speech class and came back and said, I felt so ready in my speech class. So, but want to acknowledge Preston, and I know he drove all the way here to be here and try to get back to choir. So thank you for letting me interrupt the budget presentation. We've also talked about through this year, just the level of decision making and the responsibility that the board has, the responsibility that I have, the responsibility that our labor partners have, other district leaders, the role of the community and staff and students in making these really difficult decisions. And I know the board has expressed multiple times wanting to find different pathways and want to continue to seek those different pathways as we look at the 25-26 budget and beyond. We did identify a target in the 8 to 10% range, and the board set that target in the March 12th, and then between then and now, we've implemented that. I did want to give an update. We talked about this in the last meeting, just this program of studies for all that we offer in a school year. We always are working to develop that, and this year we had some reassignment of staff. There's 67 certificated staffs that were reassigned and to try to balance out across the district our student staff ratio. The board asked us to push in our class size balance staffing that normally we'll use in the fall when students show up to try to help out schools and balance things out. But recognizing the extraordinary nature of this year, we pushed that in early. And then unfortunately, we have a group of certificated staff that are in a recall pool. And 128 of those people were notified that they were in that pool. And to date, we've been able to recall 42 of those positions back into the district. And that largely is happening as people are leaving the district, resigning, retiring. Then we're able to bring people back in from that recall pool. So really, really challenging spring, and just a ton of appreciation for the labor leaders, for all of our staff and how that's affected them, our students, because these people are, as we've talked about a lot, are amazing staff members that have had a tremendous impact on our system. So what's going to happen next? We'll continue that recall process, both on the certificated and classified side, as staff members make their decision about what they're doing for next year. We need to continue to look at our student needs and try to balance out our schedules across the district, and that will happen through the start of the school year with potential reassignments if that's needed. We need to solidify some of the variables moving forward for the next budget cycle, so we need to know what our costs will be for 24-25. We still have one open contract that we're negotiating with our teachers. The other contracts are settled, so there's more variables known than not known. As I mentioned before, there's a public hearing process and an approval process for any school board budget, and that usually takes place in July, August. And then we start all over again, looking at the impact of the decisions that were made, looking at the number of students that return to school in the fall, paying attention to the legislative session, establishing whatever those costs are moving forward. And then, as we've talked here before, advocacy. And we certainly had advocacy locally in the community, which we greatly appreciate. I know the board appreciates it. And we also need advocacy at the state level. So that is it for the superintendent report today. I'll see if there's any questions.
I just wanted to add one thing about the budget. I mean, this is several months in the process, and it's been an ongoing process and very challenging. I think to Dr. Snell's last point, we have had so much engagement from our community, and the board has heard so much input, staff advocating for colleagues and parents advocating. The highlight for sure has been the amount of students that have engaged and shared their input, meeting with small groups of students or just responding to emails. It is pretty empowering just to know that we can come together as a community. And we've learned a lot, I think, as a board, just going through this process. So I know that it's very difficult, and this is not necessarily what we want for next year, but I just want to thank everyone for their engagement in the process.
I just wanted to share, I got to attend the Student Leadership Summit, and I think my biggest takeaway was that there was a lot of students that last minute decided to attend the summit. And what they said was that they never thought they could be a leader. And so that going to the summit changed their perspective on what it means to be a leader and how to advocate for their school. And so to me, that was just a really big kudos to our student leaders. And so And it was just really great to see those students who have been advocates lately participate and also in the summit. Because I think just being able to see how their energy is also being given into what the purpose of what our goal was as a board, to provide leadership for our students and advocacy and voice. So good job.
Thank you. Next up, we have our recognition portion, which I think a lot of you are all here for. So we have both Employee Excellence Awards and then also a ton of recognitions of students. And we're gonna work through these. I do ask that if you choose to leave after your recognition, I know that there's a lot of great spring energy in the air. Do so quietly so we can give the same proper attention to each recipient. And then after all of the recognitions are done, there will be an opportunity for those who want to get on with their Tuesday evening to exit. But again, we ask that you do so quietly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read your name, and when you hear your name, please come up to the front for your award. And then we're gonna take a picture, and then we're gonna take another group picture of everyone that receives the same award.
All right. So we are starting with our Employee Excellence Awards. And each month we recognize Employee Excellence Award, and the following employees that I'll read about were selected. These recipients were among the most outstanding nominees who create a caring environment and positive workplace through their exceptional efforts. You can find out more information about each recipient, and you can also nominate people through the district website. So our first award winner is Kristen Glafka Andre. Kristen, if you could come forward. Yeah. Kristen has been an educator at Lincoln Elementary for over 2 decades. She is the ideal teacher and colleague, and her classroom is filled with collaboration, discussion, and joy, fostering a culture of resilience and success. Known for her compassionate nature, she greets students warmly, leaving a lasting smile on every face. Beyond teaching, Kristen leads social gatherings and celebrates milestones and always supports her colleagues in times of need. Thank you, Kristen. Our next award winner is Aiko Chappelle, a mental health coordinator at Thomas Jefferson Middle School. Aiko, congratulations. Aiko goes above and beyond her role, sharing her warmth and support with all students. Her contagious positive approach creates a safe environment, encouraging vulnerability and growth. A champion of student identity, she fosters belonging by coordinating affinity spaces, recognizing their vital role in student well-being. Aiko's dedication extends beyond her responsibilities to students. She consistently prioritizes students' needs within the school community. Thank you, Aiko. Our next award winner is Carmen Everingham, an orchestra teacher at Thomas Jefferson and Discovery Middle Schools. Carmen is a ray of sunshine. She leads with a tremendous amount of empathy and compassion for staff and students. Carmen advocates for her students and supports them beyond her middle school classroom, and students look back at their time with her fondly. Carmen is always looking to grow as a professional and inspires others to do the same. She is a true asset to our students and colleagues. Thank you, Carmen. Next, we have Maria Henry. Maria, are you here? It is challenging to capture all of Maria's Henry's contributions as an admin clerk at Hudson's Bay High School. Maria exudes generosity, always embracing and including staff, students, and parents. Her work ethic is exceptional, and she sets a standard for service to others. She tackles tasks with meticulous attention and detail, never leaving until the job is complete. With patience and grace, Maria handles every challenge. She embodies everything one would consider for an Employee Excellence Award and more. Thank you, Maria. And our final award winner is Debbie Jones. Debbie, please come forward. Debbie is a paraeducator at Hazeldale Elementary for 34 years, tirelessly supporting multilingual learners at the school, collaborating with the EMLA coach to create engaging learning experiences across all grades. She has high expectations and creates a welcoming environment where every student feels a sense of belonging. Besides her commitment to the classroom, Debbie volunteers for various school events and supports teachers with production work without seeking any recognition. Her dedication deserves this acknowledgement and appreciation. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, we have a number of student recognitions tonight as well. And another staff. So the first one is the Historic Trust Marshall Awards. The Marshall Awards, a program from the Historic Trust in partnership with the City of Vancouver, has been honoring young leaders in Clark County since 1989. Each year, one high school senior and one community member under 35 are recognized for their leadership achievements and contributions to our community and to Clark County. The Marshall Leadership Award celebrates and supports local rising leaders who, like General Marshall, demonstrate integrity, candor, courage, and preparedness while serving a greater good. Congratulations to our two students who were nominated, Samantha Garcia Hernandez and Caitlin Medina. Are they here tonight? They have been regular board meeting attenders through the years with other recognition as well. And finally, congratulations to our own school board director, Sandra Zavala Ortega, for being named a Public Leadership Award finalist this year. Okay. Please join me in congratulating all of our Hudson's Bay horticulture students for their second place trophy in the Future Farmers of America state competition in the area of nursery and landscape. To earn this award, Bay's team members competed in 5 separate sections, including landscaping design and estimation, general horticultural knowledge, plant tool and supplies identification, an individual practicum, and a team activity. The contest runs over 3 hours. Bay Horticulture has been competing in this program for 51 years. This entire group of students will be back next year to compete as a team. So could we please have congratulations to and these students come forward. Nova Benson, Hope Coonrat, Sid Huff, Alice Huskins, and Anthony Gonzalez. And also, if we could have advisors Amy Carpenter and Steve Lorenz come forward as well to be recognized. Our next award is for the Scholastic Writing Awards. The Scholastic Art and Writing Awards are selected without knowledge of any identified information about the students. Jurors look for works that exemplify the award's core values, originality, skill, and the emergence of a personal voice or vision. We are proud to honor several students this evening for their accomplishments in writing and art. Please join me in congratulating Silver Key winners, Soren Anderson and Lillian LaFontaine. Are they here this evening? We also have some honorable mention award winners. Please join me in congratulations to, and these are for poetry, Ruby Sanders, Mars Libby Applewhite, Lily Sawyer, Sage Bledsoe, Ellis DeYoung, and Elliot Christensen. Are any of those students here this evening? Ah, yes. And we have more writing honorable mentions to share. Congratulations to Sophia Lane for an honorable mention in novel writing, and Vivian Colmer for their honorable mention in science fiction and fantasy writing. Are they here this evening? We'll clap anyway. And I know I saw Jody here. Can we have Jody come forward and be congratulated as well for her support of these students? That's it. This is the group. There's another one. That's for visual arts. Yeah. So the next set is also Scholastic, but this is Visual Arts Award. Please join me in congratulating two students who received Silver Keys for their Visual Arts Awards, Luis Trejo, and received 2 Silver Keys for painting, and Nicole McNulty received a Silver Key for their digital work. And we have advisor Crystal Zeller for all of her support in these students. So if those folks are here, they could come forward. Okay. And now we're on to Skyview Unified Basketball, 3rd place Washington State Championships. Congratulations to the Skyview Unified Basketball team for their 3rd place finish in the Washington State Unified Basketball Tournament. Coach Casey Smith, is Coach Casey here? Yeah, come on forward, Casey, and he's going to introduce the team and share some highlights. Congratulations.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming out. First up, I want to kind of thank our admin and teachers that helped us really put this whole thing on. I see a couple of you guys out there, Principal Andy Meyer, Allison Watson, Troy Windsor, Julian Williams in particular. They really kind of helped keep this core group together. This year was a lot of fun. Last year, we ended up making the state tournament for the first time, came in 4th. This year, the goal was to finish 1st. We had a lot of newcomers and a couple veterans coming back to kind of lead the team. We had 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores come in and play for the first time. And they really learned a lot from the different players, our partners and our athletes. And it was just really exciting to see these guys come together over the course of a year. We ended up coming 3rd in state at our district tournament in Wenatchee. And we were, for those of you who kind of remember the video games back in the 80s, we literally couldn't buy a bucket in one of the games. The first game we played, it was amazing because we had so many shots that we had made throughout the year with ease, and we just couldn't make it that game. And we still fought incredibly hard lost by 6 points to the eventual second place team. So this team was incredible and so much fun to coach, and it brings so much joy to be here with them. Follow up. Yeah, so I got it was 6 of us. So Sam Greco, going to come up. Evan Franco. You guys. Destiny Wood. Molly Moore. James Beeswire. AJ Hunt. And assistant coach Christopher. Yep.
You might have to do 2 rows. That's too many complicated. You know the drill. All right. Might have everybody scooch this way just a little bit. All right, everybody's here and 1, 2, 3.
Next, we have the Skyview Stormbots who are here. Congratulations to them for heading to Houston this spring to compete in the first national robotics competition. I'd like to invite coaches Gary Borgello, Jeff Honor, and Luke Glassett forward to be recognized and to also introduce the team and share some highlights from the year. Congratulations, coaches.
Good evening. We'll go ahead and- Yeah, the rest of the team, if you can come stand behind Mr. Honor and myself, that'd be great so that they can see you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Luke Glassett. I'm the head coach of the Skyview Stormbots. Jeff Honor, who's our lead mentor, is here with us as well. And then our team, this is our student leadership team behind us. They help guide and direct our team throughout the year. And we just want to share some highlights with you. Our overall program has 68 students in it from Skyview High School and Skyview Robotics. Of those, 33 are boys, 33 are girls, and 2 identify as other. 58 of those students are involved in our SMT program, which also means that 10 are not. And that's part of what we would try to do is draw people in that wouldn't be normally interested in science, math, technology, to get involved in our program. This year we did something monumental. We started a second FIRST robotics team. Very few schools have done that. And we did that to create more STEM opportunities for students outside of the classroom. So we now have 2 teams. We have the Stormbots, which Jeff is wearing that polo, and any of the blue polos you see are the Stormbots, and then the Stormbreakers, which are the gray polos that Sophie and I are wearing. Stormbots, it was their 16th year as a robotics team, and you will hear Jeff talk a little bit more about their achievements. On that team, we have 45 students. Most of them are veteran students. The Stormbreakers, this is our first year as a team. We had 23 students on that team. The Stormbreakers consist of all freshmen. So all of our freshmen were on the Stormbreakers, as well as many new students are new to robotics as well. We finished 68th out of 127 teams in the Pacific Northwest, just barely missing the district championship by 8 points, which for a first-year team was really, really awesome. And then actually, when looking at all of the data, we finished in the top 50% in the world in scoring for a first-year team, which was really, really cool. And now Jeff's going to share some data about the Stormbots.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Jeff Honor, like Luke said. It was an amazing season for the Stormbots, by far the best season the Stormbots have ever had in our history. Very successful build season. The students, just so you know, many of them spend 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week during the 6-month build season. We came out of that very optimistic about our robot, and we went into our competitions. And short version is we were in the playoffs in every single competition. We won one. We were in a finalist in others. We went to the Pac Northwest district championships, kind of the robotics version of state. And we came out of that qualification rounds as tied for #1 in the Pacific Northwest. And then went on to be a finalist in the playoffs of that competition. Then we got the first chance to go to Worlds that we've been to, World Championships, huge event in Houston from all around the world. We had teams from Canada, Mexico, Israel, Taiwan, Turkey, many that we played with, and just fantastic experience for everybody. We ended up, most of that competition during the qualifications, we were actually one of the first or second rated robots in our area. We ended up 7th out of 78, which was still darn good. And we were in the playoffs and Worlds, so that was a fantastic year for us. Probably the biggest highlight, though, I'd say, I mean, all that was amazing. And then the other thing I want to highlight is we won for the first time ever in program history what's called the First Impact Award. That is an award that's very rare to get, and it's given out to the teams that have made the greatest impact in the community and have done the best at advancing understanding of robotics and technology and things like that. So that was a fabulous win for the team also this year. And I just want to close by thanking support from our staff, from our administrator, Andy, and the whole rest of the team, from CTE and Mark Reef, and that entire group is very helpful. Jim Gray has helped us out multiple times, and board, we appreciate all the support we get from you, and certainly hope to continue that in the future for the robotics and the SMT program. Thank you.
You need to do that. All right.
So our last recognitions, it's always kind of a lag when our student athletes and teams go to competition, and then we recognize after the season is over. And the spring ones always get a little shortchanged because then we come back into the fall. And we had a pretty historic spring Memorial Day weekend, in particular at Columbia River High School. And so we had state championship teams for boys track and field, baseball, and girls tennis. We had second place boys tennis, third place boys golf, and Skyview girls softball won third place. And so we just wanted to make sure that we highlighted those. We're making sure that those student athletes and their coaches get their certificates, because some of those players are seniors. And so then when we come back in the fall, we don't necessarily capture them. On the state track and field, we had some individual achievements as well. So first place in the 100-meter dash and 200-meter dash was Revac Banfield. Second place, Jacob McManus in the 1600 and the 3200. Cicely Orazzotti, pole vault, and Eli Wenger with pole vault as well. And then third place, our 4x100 relay team with Seth Arnott, Solomon Menendez, John Reeder, and Revac Banfield. So some tremendous achievements over Memorial Day weekend for some of our spring sports. So we wanted to acknowledge them this evening as well. And now, if you're just here for the awards and you want to go, you won't offend anybody. This is a good pause in the agenda. We're glad that you're here tonight and wish you the best.
Next, on our agenda is our public participation, our public comment portion of the meeting. That's great to hear. Lots of cheers. I'm going to go ahead, and I have a long script, so I just want you to all be patient with me. We developed this script when our board meetings were a little bit more chaotic in COVID. And I just want to compliment our community that's been coming to our meetings because I just feel like there's been really great cooperation and kindness expressed, especially last month. We had some brave students speaking, and I just felt like I didn't necessarily need to read a script. So I just want to thank everyone for that. Just to set clear expectations, so I'm going to go ahead. Public comment is the time in our meeting where the board and administrative staff welcome comments from the public. If you would like to address the board and did not have the opportunity to sign in at the start of the meeting, please do so now. You may continue to sign in at any time during the public comment portion of the meeting. We have a very short list tonight, so I would recommend you sign in now. We ask that you approach the podium and state your name and affiliation with the district for the record. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. When you hear a chime, please conclude your remarks. If you have materials or additional comments you would like the board to review, please hand them to the staff in the back of the boardroom. This information will be provided to the superintendent and to the board. Because most matters require fact-finding and review, and the state's Open Public Meetings Act restricts deliberation on topics that have not been placed on the publicly noticed agenda in advance, the board is not able to respond to any public comments made at this time. If follow-up action is necessary, the board will ask the superintendent to work with the administrative staff to consider the information and respond accordingly. I'm going to go ahead and end there. I just ask that we all just be kind and gracious to one another. So our first and only public comment is Trish Hammond. So if you are interested and didn't sign up, I encourage you to do so now.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that the fact that I keep coming here and commenting, it's nothing personal. It's just me trying to, hold my elected officials accountable. And so, I mean, I hope you're not offended with what I have to say today, but I like to give my students visuals so that they have a mental picture. This is transparent. This is not. And this is what I feel that the board has done. And the reason I say that is a friend sent me the budget for RBG for this year and finding out that it was 1.8 million and that's serving 45 students and that as of May, 1.2 million had been spent. So I can only assume that 1.5 to 1.6 million is where we're going to end the year. And for 45 students, when there's other Spanish immersion programs, I'm confused by that. And then we've heard a lot of analogy about the school district's budget is like your home budget. But when I buy a car that I can't afford, I don't call the cable company and ask them to charge me less, but work harder because enrollment's down. I mean, my hours are cut. That's just not how it works. And so I'm asking the board to consider closing RBG and preserve important teacher positions at our high need schools. But back to why I originally started coming to these board meetings was when you switched from a interview system to a lottery system for VSAA. And I feel offended that that announcement was made after the elections. In fact, you were sworn in on the night that we were here to public comment. And it just builds distrust with the public. That was a delayed message that had clearly been made till after the elections. There was no public comment period. And instead, it was quite the chastising that I frequently asked people to go watch that board meeting because I was like blown away by what the board was saying. I mean, because you're devaluing our students' ability and desire to self-advocate. And to say that kids can't interview, at my school, we're a leadership school. We have first graders who interview for leadership positions. I think that when you give kids the chance to rise to the occasion, they do. And certainly I would say that teachers are professionals. We know how to scaffold for students who struggle with that process. We know how to help them through it. But for you to just take away their voice and their ability, I mean, I would welcome any of you to come to my fourth grade class and to speak with my fourth graders. I try really hard not to say anything about my personal opinions. I only give them the information because it's not my job to tell them what to think. It's my job to teach them to think. I would strongly encourage any of you to please come talk to them because they're upset. They want the chance for their voice to be heard. And part of that is our school because we're a 7-habit school, and habit 8 is find your voice and help others find theirs. And they feel like the board has taken away their ability to speak for what they want and what they need for their education. But since we keep arguing about the arts program, why don't you just make RBG another secondary arts program? That's what this has been about. Like, we don't have enough. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to take a quick pause to make sure that there's no other potential public comment in the audience. Okay. Thank you very much. We will move on to our regular business portion of the agenda. Our first item is the approval of minutes from May 14th, regular board meeting, the May 21st Committee of the Whole, and the May 28th study session minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any comments or questions about this? Okay, we'll take it to a vote. Director Zavala,
Approve.
Director Smith,
Approve.
Director Decker,
Approve.
and Director Barrows.
Approve.
Next in our agenda is our consent agenda. This is instructional and administrative support services and fiscal support services. And just as a reminder for the audience watching at home or here, we've reviewed all of these items that are prior month's Committee of the Whole. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions about any of these items? Okay, take it to a vote. Director Barrows,
Approve.
Director Decker,
Approve.
Director Smith,
Approve.
and Director Zavala.
Approve.
Okay, and I also approve. The next item on our regular business agenda is a second reading of policy 2110. I'll turn this over to you, Dr. Snell.
Yeah, this is a policy that the board was engaged in to amend and to better reflect some of the changes to the multilingual educational program and dual language programming. The board reviewed it in a first reading in the May meeting, and now it's up for second reading and potential action to adopt this revised policy.
Do I have a motion to move forward with this policy?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any comments or questions about this policy?
I just wanted to thank our executive directors who worked on this bilingual instructional program, the new multilingual, let me get it right because I'm not good at that, recommending the transitional bilingual instruction program, the revised policy. I appreciate the change of the language, the way we refer to the program now. And I'm also excited to see how the procedures all work out. And it's a big, heavy lift. And we've been really working on how do we make this program for our multilinguals work better. And I think we've got the secret sauce. So thanks.
I just also wanted to add, Director Decker takes the lead for the board on our policy committee, but because dual language is a pet passion of mine, I had the opportunity to join in the discussions, and I'm really excited about this because I think it really transitions the work we've been doing in policy. I mean, the work has evolved over the last decade. But now to have it in policy where it's really focused about how we serve students, not just programs offered, I think is really important that we document in policy. So I'm excited about it. Okay, take it to a vote. Director Barrows,
Approve.
Director Decker,
Approve.
Director Smith,
Approve.
Director Zavala,
Approve.
and I wholeheartedly approve. The next item.
Yeah, the next item is a recommendation to request registered warrants from the Clark County Treasurer's Office. I know the board is aware of this, but just for the general public's knowledge, our apportionment from the state comes in at different times of the year, and the state likes to hold that apportionment until as late in the year as possible. And so the board has strategically drew down the reserves fund of the district to mitigate the reduction in force. Because of that, we don't have as much in the bank account to carry cash flow each month. When we get the apportionment, we have that money there. So going back to the analogy of the home budget, the paycheck is coming, but in order to make payroll each month or some of the obligations the district has, sometimes they ask for an advance of apportionment, which was what the board did earlier in the year. So that's asking the state to not withhold their funds. And then other times there's the cause for basically a small loan from the county. I'll pause there because the distinguished Brett Blechschmidt might have something that I missed that he would like to clarify about this recommendation today.
No, I think you did a great job. The only thing I would add is the repayment of the advance of apportionment from the state has to begin in May. And so that's why we need a little bit of help in July and August until we get those final two payments, which statistically, just as a reinforce your point, those last two payments will be 22.5% of our annual allocation, which come in the last 32 days of our fiscal years. So that's the mismatch we're trying to navigate with both the apportionment advance, and then now this is just the final little gaps that are occurring as we pay back the apportionment advance.
And the Clark County Treasurer's Office has been very awesome in working with and collaborative. They actually have some concerns because of the state challenge with funding that other districts are going to need this and have needed this across the state. And so there's some leadership that they're wanting to provide so that other county treasurers' offices can be prepared for this if the state doesn't change the practice or has districts in a position where their fund balance is enough to carry that. So our recommendation is that you would approve this.
Are there any questions for Dr. Snell or Brett? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll take it to a vote. Director Zavala? Approve. Director Smith?
Approve.
Director Decker?
Approve.
Director Barrows?
Approve.
And I also approve. That concludes the business portion of our agenda. Next is our Board of Directors report. And so I'm just going to give an opportunity in a moment if anyone has any updates. The exciting news and the reason that we're here tonight on the first Tuesday of the month is because June is our graduation month. So next week, we will be at the amphitheater and at Skyview and at VSA. And they start this Friday. With a couple graduations. So they're always great celebrations. So if you're looking for something to feel inspired, please join us.
And they are live stream, most of them. One I think is outdoors this year, which doesn't allow us the same capability. But there's a website that if anybody in the community is interested that has all the graduation information, the live stream, and then the communications team publishes a bunch of photos there after the events. And so especially for families of graduates, you'll definitely want to go there and see because there's some great images that come out of the graduations. And just a huge thank you to our board. I know this is one of the main reasons you serve is because you want students in our community to benefit from the pre-K-12 programming. And this is the culminating event, but it's a lot of nights and a lot of being up in front of everybody and a lot of handshaking. And so we really appreciate your time and service through the graduation season. And then all the staff, the administrative staff of Dr. A.G. and the audience still from Skyview, they work really hard to get, one, all the graduates across the stage, two, to make sure all the logistics happen. And it's a lot of work from our DROs to school admin to Mr. Gray to Nancy Gifford. So amazing event, lots of work, and everybody will be very exhausted on that last graduation night, so.
One final plug also is just the graduation videos that the communications team does that has a lot of the exit interviews and student reflections about their experience in VPS. They usually are posted on social media, but it's, I mean, I don't have a graduate, but I love watching those videos. So anyone else have anything to report or comment on? Okay. Okay. Well, with that, the meeting is adjourned. In record time.
Sure you don't have anything?
I-